Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Rochelle Wilhite, the designated broker for Best Choice Realty. It's about 5:31 on November 16th. We're going to go ahead and get started with Fanatical follow-up. It's one of my favorite sessions, and I have revised quite a bit of the content tonight. So you guys are getting the first revision that I've done on this particular conference call. So welcome, everyone. Those of you tuning in, we're going to be going over some good ideas on how to follow up with your leads, and it's called Fanatical Follow-Up. So we'll leave today with a few good emails that are working for a lot of our top producers and a plan that you can probably implement tonight as far as how are you going to do it, how are you going to work your leads in your system. So let's get started right away because I've got a full agenda between now and 6 o'clock. And if you have questions after the call, you're welcome to email me. My email address is Rochelle, RACHELLE, at bestchoicerealtywa.com. And you can email me and I can provide you with the documents or perhaps the emails if you're not able to scribble them down fast enough on the call tonight. Lead generation through lead nurturing or fanatical follow-up is really what we want to cover tonight. So I'm not here to say that there's a beautiful follow-up system with your clients or that this is even easy to implement. It's not. I've had to revise this several times in my real estate career, and it's ever changing based on the market conditions, based on your clientele, based on your database, and how your personality is when you interact with people. So you'll constantly be tweaking it. So just because we're doing a call tonight, it's going to take 25 minutes, you may want to spend more time with this and tweak it as you go throughout 2016. One thing I can tell you tonight is that your efforts will be really incredibly worth it. So if you spend some time and you actually create a plan tonight, the benefits or the efforts you put into it are going to pay out greatly for you. What I am also going to say tonight is that why are you spending more time and energy and money in attempts to generate leads? Some of you on this call are maybe thinking, gosh, I didn't store away enough nuts for the winter, and so now I'm having to go spend money and try to find lead sources. And if you looked at what you have available to you or what you've generated so far this last year, last 5 years, the type of people, the people you interact with, your database, if you are spending more time with those folks actually following up, you'll find you'll spend less money in generating leads or coming up with dead-end leads. Maybe you go to a company like Trulia. I'm going to pick on Trulia because they now partner with Zillow. But you spend money with Trulia, and Trulia leads were not providing you. They had name, phone number, but now those leads at 6 months have gone by. Now we don't really have a relationship or a connection with those leads. And by going back and maybe looking at leads that you had a relationship with that might not have told you no 6, 7 months ago, those potential people, if you follow up with them starting today, there is a high chance that they may want to do something with you in the 2016 year. So I see a lot of agents constantly trying out dozens and dozens of lead generation methods, sources, and systems. Sometimes these agents spend almost 100% of their time in just the generation and almost none of the time and efforts on conversion. And that's what we're going to spend time on today is the conversion or some follow-up strategy. When closings don't pan out within a few months or even the course of a year, they often say, well, the leads are just bad, or maybe the leads that truly are not good. And there are many, many lead sources out there. The leads aren't really bad. I'd say I've converted a lot of leads that other agents discounted or said, no, I'm not going to follow up with them, or maybe they made one attempt and that was it. It really stems from the lack of the conversion efforts after they've been converted. So remember, you are the lead generation machine, but you also have to nurture or you have to follow up. When you believe the truth that no lead is bad and you really think about it as all leads could be possible, you need to change your thinking, and then you'll be able to change your efforts and your focus. And you'll spend more time in nurturing and less time in having to put money into leads. a source. So what do you need? What you need is a system, and a system, there's many, I think there's over 25 systems out there that I've tried out, or I'm currently testing out, and what you need is a system that's going to work for you. So you need an individual routine, not just a system. If somebody says, oh, I'll sell you a system that will send you emails out on your behalf, or I'm going to spend, there's a blog post on Facebook I saw recently on a Facebook group I belong to, and the agent's like, this prospecting system said that they'll email all these people in my database for, I think she said $1,000, and that I think she had over 120 comments on this saying, don't do it, don't spend your money. Really, you should come up with a system on your own, an individual routine that will generate a result. Your system might be different than David's system. It might be different than Kay's system, but it's your system and it works. So if you're thinking tonight, I don't really have a system, well, look at what kind of system are you managing. I mean, I could do as simple as an Excel spreadsheet and implement the system I'm talking about tonight. I could be using the Real Geeks back-end system that we have available for free and be very successful with lead follow-up. If you're paying Top Producer, or you're paying Follow-Up Boss, or you're paying 5 Street, it really doesn't matter what system that you pay money for. What matters is what you do with that system. How did you make that your own? What are you doing? What are your routines every day, every week, every month that will generate a result? And it's going to vary from agent to agent. That's why there's so many systems out there, because some agents prefer to sprinkle a few text messages in their conversion strategy, or some agents want to email systematically, and some of them want a combination of all of the above, and therefore they need a system where they can easily use it. So I'm going to speak directly to the lead manager, because we do have one of our top producers that she works the lead manager very well. In fact, I think 2 or 3 of our top producers use our lead manager, leads.realgeeks.com. And they've made some updates recently, so if you've thought, oh, I don't know, I'm not really into it anymore, maybe you want to revisit it, because they have made some changes to their system. It requires a human to go in there every day and work it. And it may change, as it grows. You may want to do an add-on, and do a top producer, or I'm currently testing one of their other systems. So the more leads you have in that lead manager, there is a way to merge all that data into a more robust follow-up system. But bottom line is, you need a system to help remind you when you need to follow up with those leads or those clients. And it can change as it grows. So the first thing I want to write down, if you guys have a pen and paper, is to establish a first contact routine. This is something that I took about a month to do. And it doesn't take very long if you really sit down tonight and come up with, what do you do when you get a contact, when you get a name, phone number, email address, when you get a name and a phone number, when you only get a name and an email address, when you get only a name and an address. What is your first contact routine? And what I mean by that is, what do you say? What is your message? And does your message convey what you're trying to do? Are you going to be able to, with that first contact, be able to determine if the client is ready, willing, and able? How are you going to write that? What are you going to say? I have literally in my inbox here, I just did a search to see how many first emails I have collected over the years. I have over 125 first email versions. So you can only imagine there's a lot of different strategy, there's a lot of different options based on your personal style and belief system. But out of 125, I'm looking at these ones I've collected over the years from different agents. I would say only about 10 to 20 are really effective. Why are they really effective? Well, number one, they are asking the right questions in that first email, so that it's not, are you working with a lender? Well, that's a yes or no question. That might be a good follow-up email, but that first email needs to be warm, friendly, have a little bit of your personal style in it, and also have a call to action. a reason for them to follow up with you or respond to your email. I see a lot of emails in my first emails, and I critiqued a ton of them. That's how I've collected a lot, is I've critiqued a ton. And I'm happy to critique your first email if you'd like to send me, here's what I'm sending out to my new clients, when I get them. If you want to send me an example of what you're going to be sending out to your clients, I'd be happy to critique it. I have a lot of skill and knowledge in knowing what to say via email on that first attempt. And it needs to be personal. It needs to sound like you. My first email also said that I have set them up to receive homes or properties that meet their criteria. In order to make sure that you're getting the best property sent to you, I need, would you please respond to the following? And then I just bullet pointed out 3 questions. And that was helping me, and I got responses, a lot of responses from my first email. I changed up my subject line based on what I was getting responses to. If you're not getting a lot of responses to your first email that you send to people, perhaps it might be just as simple as a subject line switch or a change. I've changed mine about a dozen times, the subject line that I use that goes along with my first email. Then the most important thing, once you get your first email or your first contact strategy solidified, then you would want to make sure that you always set a next contact. So you set a follow-up reminder for you to follow up with that client or that lead. And that's where a lot of agents lose track of their clientele, is they make that first contact and then they think it's one and done. And it takes a lot more contact to make that lead turn into something. On average, it takes me, and I've been highly trained and highly skilled, it takes me over between 4 to 6 contacts before I can get the lead to respond. And that's with a lot of leads that come through the system. So if you're saying, okay, well, maybe I only add 4 leads into my system every single month, well, that's not a lot of opportunity. So, see what you can do about going into your network, your clients, maybe your past clients, maybe friends of the family. Again, this call is not meant to be lead sourcing. This is, once you have those leads in your system, what are you doing with them to follow up? And I'd venture to guess that many of them you don't have next contact dates set up, so you don't know when you're going to follow up with them next, or you don't have a strategy past the first contact. So I want to go right into the next area here and give you guys some ideas on what to do after the first contact. But I take it serious. If you want to establish your first contact routine and email me, I'd be happy to critique it and give you some feedback. When the number 2, this is my number 2 point, prospecting follow-up. The email should be done on every follow-up, and it should be systematic. On average, it looks like I make that first contact within the first 15 to 20 minutes upon getting it. 5-10 years ago, you could go 12 to 24 hours upon receiving that lead or that client registration before making that first attempt. But it's essential that you make it right away, as soon as you possibly can. And I have an email that I send out, and I'd be happy to send that out to you if you want to send me an email. Send me what yours is, and I will critique it, and also send you some feedback on what yours needs to be. The personal you can get with your first contact, the better. Then step 2 would be that second attempt, and that second attempt can be somewhere within that first week. So when you set your follow-up reminder on your first attempt, and you get done, you didn't reach them, or you sent the email, you went through your little checklist of things you're going to do with your first attempt, make sure your bullet points or what you're going to do with that first attempt, that you also have a step 2 or a follow-up in the first week. You guys might think, well, that's pretty aggressive. Well, you know what? Things have changed drastically, and you don't have as much time as you once had to convert some of these leads or some of these clients. So make a follow-up attempt in that first week. So contact number 1 is made within, I'd say, 15 to 20 minutes. Contact 2 is made sometime in that first week that you received it. And that's important because you're going to try to reach that person in that first week again. You're going to try to make another attempt. My strategy would be if you get the live person or you get somebody to respond to your email, that's great. You made it that in step 2. If you had to leave a voicemail, you could say that you're trying to touch base with them to discuss their home search or their property search, and you're trying to find out how they would best prefer to communicate with you. That's my reason for making that attempt in step 2. Please call me at blank at your earliest convenience. I look forward to speaking with you, texting with you, or emailing you soon. Okay, so again, that's my voicemail or my email response in step 2. Now in step 2, if I didn't get them to respond, I also need to set a next contact date or follow-up. And that's where a lot of agents mess up. They forget, should I need to call that person back again, or I need to follow up by email? Remember, it takes me 4 to 6 attempts. So I have 4 to 6 emails that I use on a regular basis and follow up with these leads. So step 2, my next contact date when I follow up with the next one would be the following week. So sometime, so say I set my next contact date for today's Monday. So I didn't reach that person. I made my first attempt. I set my next contact date, say, for Thursday when I make my calls again. And then on Thursday when I make a contact, let's say I can't get them again on that Thursday, then I set my next contact date for the following week. And that's a week out. So that's the 3rd attempt. On the 3rd attempt, I do another attempt the following week. So I'm making 4 attempts in the first month when I receive that lead. You think, gosh, that's a lot. No, it's really not. When you think about how many websites these leads are on or how many websites these clients are on, they might be talking with other agents. They might be on several different websites. So you want to make at least 4 attempts in that first month. Now let's say that a month goes by and they still have not responded to you. You can back off a little bit, but I would go on your I guess it would be your 4th attempt. When you set your next contact date and you want to follow up with that person the next time, skip a week and go every other week at that point in time. And so your next contact date might be, so let's say I'm making my 4th contact this Thursday, then I am going to want to go 2 weeks out, if it's my 5th contact. And then the same thing goes for my 6th contact. I'm going to go 2 weeks out. Okay, and I have a systematic way of knowing where I'm at because when I set my next contact date in the Real Geek system, up on the top part where if you're using it, when I'm actually working my leads, and it says, I need to set a next contact date or set a follow-up date, what I'm going to do is it's in my notes. I just pour a tag. I can go in, and I'm going to do one right now. I'm going to go in and send an email, and then I'm going to click on the follow-up. There's a plus sign. And in the title, right below purpose, it says title, I'm going to say number 3 or contact number 3. That way I know what I did. And then in my notes, if I need to put something there, I could, but really I know that I did contact number 3, and then I'm going to do number 4 the next time. And I set my date. And then always after you get done setting the date, you're going to go ahead and scroll to the bottom and click the Save button. And that will remind you on your dashboard when you need to make that contact number 4 attempt. So I could have 20, 30, 40, I have at one time had 50 different follow-ups that are all set up. And I could quickly go through every day, and I've got this one I need to just follow up with and that one I need to follow up with. I would know that because I put it in my title. I put what contact attempt I'm on in my title section. It says title right below the purpose. And that way it will flag me on my dashboard. If you have problems with that, give me a call after we get done tonight, and I'll walk you through how to do that. It's not very hard, and you get in the system of having it set up that way. And you can manage 50 to 100 leads just using a system like that. It's not difficult. So that's kind of the system that I have. Now, a lot of you are wondering, well, what are you saying when you're actually making those attempts? And I do have some good ones that I can share with you right now that has worked really well for me and also some other agents. I'm looking at one of our top producers. emails right now. And what are some of the things that she does? She does a few questions. And as I think her first one, she might have changed up the subject line, but she has a few questions, so she's taken me serious about maybe creating something that's very personal in her first email attempt or her first contact attempt. And then the next one she does, she says, it's here for you, ... So it talks more about what she's going to do. Mine is more about how do we communicate. So you, again, based on your style, based on your type of client, your number 2 contact attempt might be different than mine or hers, but here for you ... seems to be working for her. My favorite for number 2 contact is how to communicate, and I get a lot of responses on that. Number 3, the contact number 3 attempt that's getting the best results right now is something related to the area of interest. So for example, if I had clientele in Bothell, for example, I might want to set up my subject line to be the Bothell homes or nearby homes in Bothell, something that's specific to the area or the locale. That often gets looked at and responded to. In that email, we're looking for more information, and we're going to create questions within the email, such as, what areas of Bothell are you interested in? Number 2, what neighborhoods would you like me to provide school or demographic information? And that's, again, there's items of value. There's interest. It shows that you're serious. You understand the area. So there's specific things we ask in that email that obviously gets the client to respond. So you want to create an email that's really targeted to your area of, maybe you work Federal Way, Des Moines, all the way up to Renton. You want something that really encompasses, a locale or an area, a specialty of that. So think about your geographic area, your market farm, perhaps where you live or where you do most of your business. You want to create an email for your contact number 3 that you can send out to those particular people. Number 4, and it's funny because I'm looking at this top producer's emails and comparing it to what I'm sending out, and I'm seeing a lot of similarities, but also a few differences. This one just left you a voicemail. Mine I've changed up to, it's different. It's following up on our communication was the one I'm using. And this particular agent's using just left you a voicemail. One way or the other, you need to get another touch point in, and that is getting response on my account and also on this other one. So what does that cover? It's a very short and sweet email. It only has 3 sentences in it, and it's getting a lot of responses. So maybe you have your email content that you're using currently might not be relevant, or it might be too long. You might want to think about taming some of that down and getting at what is the reason why I'm sending this out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, those are your first month attempts. An email that goes out, and you need to come up with like at least 6 to 7 that you can send out. Let me give you another example of one that I just had. Hang on here, just lost my place. Okay, towards the end of your system, and again, this one works really well if you have been neglecting your database, or maybe you're on the 5th, 6th, or 7th email or contact. This one works really well and still does to this day. Could I ask a small favor? Is a very, very good email that you could send out. In that email, you say, could you help me update my records? Are you still shopping for a property in the area? You could leave area or actually put an area in there. If you have already found a property or are no longer looking at this time, just let me know. I'm ready to help, but I do not want to bother you with unwanted emails. Either way, I look forward to your response. I've sent this out to 12 people in the last week. I got about 6 people that responded. So again, the subject line, you might need to switch that up if you've been using it and it doesn't work for you. But I think the content, in essence, is appreciative of their time. You could even make this annual, right, where you go through and you clean up your database based on this. Could you help me update my records? Are you still shopping for a new home in the Bothell area in the coming year, in 2016? You could actually specify that. And I use that to clean up my database as well, and it works magically. So that's a good one that you could use, or that you could implement as one of your touch points for contact number 6 or number 7. I would highly recommend using something like that just as a touch point. Or there's another one that another top producer has used. It's just touching base, ... So somebody that's very good at ... or comfortable using that in their style or personality, that actually has worked really well. Unable to reach you by phone could be another good one in contact number 6, 7. Or what questions do you have for me so far? That's a very interactive agent, and that one has been getting a lot of responses. Some other ones that you could possibly use, a lot of people are asking, what do you do for 4, 5, and 6, Rochelle? This one has been working really well, and again, it's because it's very short and sweet, and I have even tweaked it in some of the prospecting strategies I've done for some other agents in our office. And instead of emailing in contact number 6, we have been texting in contact number 6. And we've been getting a lot of responses from this. And I think it works both ways, either by text or by email. I've tried both. And it's the subject line or the text is something must have caught your eye. And you're thinking, that's kind of a weird email, but it actually has been working really well for us. So that could be the subject line. I see you have viewed or looked at 491 Shattuck Place a bunch. I'm going to research if there are any offers on this property. Would you rather I call or email you what I find? So it's a very 2-sentence, very quick one-liner almost, if you will, about properties, specific questions. Out of all the properties I've sent you so far, has anything caught your eye? If not, please let me know so I can change the criteria of your alerts. Call me anytime and I will update your criteria. Again, this is not earth-shattering emails, but if you sent something like that, caught your eye, something must have caught your eye, and you maybe in this body, out of all the properties I've sent you so far, has anything caught your eye? If not, please let me know so I can change the criteria of your alerts. Call me anytime and I will update your criteria. Very simple. A ton of responses. There's a company down in Vancouver, Washington, that's using that particular email with all of their database. Not so much up here in this area. So that's why I think you guys might want to try that, or incorporate that into your message flow for the next 12 weeks, because they're finding a lot of success. There's a company down in Vancouver that sends that out to all of their leads, and I think they're getting, the response rate on that is about 50%. It's incredible. So I think it's the shortness of it. I also think it's because it's the timing of when it's sent out. So I would encourage you maybe to put it in your, your 5th or 6th contact attempt and see if you're getting the same kind of results. So that would be around December, in January. If you started the process now, if you started the prospecting track, you sent contact number 1 this week, contact number 2, you try to make another attempt, contact number 3, you're probably into December when you send that one out. But I think that could be a very highly responded to email. The last one, people always ask me, what do I do if I made 6, 7 attempts and they still have not responded? Another good one that I've tried recently that is getting a lot of responses to, I used to love bugging you, and I used to get tons of responses, but I've changed it up. I don't use bugging you as much anymore. I use, do you still want to hear from me? ? And that one is getting a lot of responses too. So you really want about, I'm going to wrap up the call here tonight, you need about 4 to 6 attempts. You need a strategy. So if you want to create, I would just take a number down a sheet of paper tonight and just go, number 1, I need a plan for the first contact. And if I don't have a good plan, I need to get one right away. That's like number 1. Number 2, I need to have a prospecting follow-up strategy. And everything should be timed out and planned ahead of time. So you don't have to think about it. All you have to do is copy, paste, copy, paste. That way you can set next contacts and you can get a lot of communication, a lot of follow-up done. And then number 3, once you've identified what your timing needs to be, like when are you going to do what, then come up with the content or the message that goes around that. And I've given you a few ideas, but you want around, I'd say, 6 to 7 emails that are already pre-done with subject lines that you could insert right on into the Real Geeks backend system. And then it's just a matter of you implementing, following up. When those next contact dates come up on your calendar, on your dashboard, that you actually do what you say you're going to do. And that's how you're going to have high success. So again, if you have further questions or you want to see the exact methodology of what I do, it's simply just a 1-page. It's scripted, and I'm happy to send that to you. I don't have the scripts that I say on the phone. That takes a little bit of personal crafting. But if you get to the point where you need to have that, write it down. Get to the point where you can be scripted, and once you get your system in place, then you can, ditch the script and go with, what you have. So again, number your paper like 1 to 7, come up with a system, and if you have questions about what do I send, what email, I don't have one for number 6, I don't have one for number 7, here's my first email. I need your first email though. I mean, if you can get me your first email, I can go through and tweak it and understand your style, because a lot of you actually are very good at follow-up. You just might need to revisit this, and refresh it. And what a good time of year to do that than in November and December before the new year. Maybe go back and do, catch up with some of the leads you have contacted. You've done a poor job in reaching out and following up. Send them number 6 and 7, and then from here on out, make a goal for yourself to every lead I get, here is my process. Here's how I'm going to be fanatical about my follow-up. So I hope this was helpful tonight. Again, if you need some more information, send me a quick email, Rochelle@bestchoicerealtywa.com. Be happy to share some best practices or to give you some feedback on what you're currently experiencing. And make it a great week, you guys. Talk to you soon.